talk drug pricing, because this new deal, one of the things as you look deeper into some of the interesting chapters, one of the things that it does is extend the minimum data protection for biologic drugs. This is going up from 8 to 10 years. So explain what that means.
So the deal affects what is called exclusivity periods in the pharmaceutical industry. Basically, this is the length of time where if you've developed a very expensive, very scientifically advanced new drug, as this class of biologics is, that sort of drug is protected from anyone else being able to see what's in it, how it's made, how the different reviews and tests went with it. So the generic industry can't start developing a lower-priced alternative for this particular drug for 2 extra years if you are extending your exclusivity period from 8 until 10 years. So think about it. There's always winners and losers in trade deals. Who are the winners in this? Well, of course, the brand name pharmaceutical companies who are developing this sort of biologic drug. And of course, there is a research community, an R&D community in post-secondary institutions and things like that who are part of the research behind these drugs. It's good news for them. Of course, it is bad news for Canada's generic industry to see exclusivity periods lengthened. And in the long run, and this is down the road a bit, but in the long run, you could see higher drug costs. And of course, we know that impacts government's bottom lines and costs for patients.
And the timing of all of this, I mean, in this country, we're having a national debate on a national pharmacare plan. So when you talk about the generic industry being affected and drug prices going up at that timing, I mean, let's talk about how all of those could come together.
Yeah, right. So all of the changes we'd see from this, all of the pricing changes and whether that would affect availability or choices that people who prescribe drugs might make or choices patients might make, it's all well into the future. Sort of the beauty of a decision like this, you know, it is a decade out when you might see a higher price for a patient as a result of this, because, you know, we're talking about the drugs of the future, not the drugs kind of available that people are using right now. This might be a future government's problem, if you will. Chrystia Freeland was asked about the drug pricing issue this morning, and she mentioned, of course, as you say, that the federal government is working with the provinces on the drug costs issue. We don't know where that national pharmacare plan might go. Of course, it is something to watch, and you have to sort of gaze into your crystal ball to know, okay, what kind of drugs will people be using in 10 years? Okay, well, you know, what other options will be available to them before you can answer that question everyone wants, which is like, how much will this cost us? You know, I want to say, though, that I think this particular change in the deal may have more to do with American politics than Canadian politics, because there are certain votes in Congress, including some very powerful Senate votes, that are very much tied to the fate of the U.S. pharmaceutical industry. And I think perhaps the reason why this was such a priority in the deal is because they needed to build a deal that was going to be able to pass Congress. There were certain senators in particular who were looking for longer exclusivity periods to be in this deal. They wanted 12 years. They only got 10. It remains to be seen whether that's enough for them. But I think for the Americans, this is a big priority, and the writing may have been on the wall for Canada.
And getting it through Congress is, of course, the next challenge down in the United States. Thank you, Janice, very much. Janice McGregor is in Ottawa.